going on, guys? Sitting low, just hanging out, coming at you guys with another video. And I literally just got home about 10 minutes ago with another marketplace find. Now, if you guys stuck around this channel long enough, you guys know that I like to tinker with scooters, motorcycles, bikes, all kind of stuff like that. And I'm constantly searching marketplace for good deals and, you know, things to tinker with. And this afternoon, I came across a really good deal. Granted, I really don't know anything about it. The only thing I do know about it was the price was nice. So I ended up driving out there, about a half-hour drive to pick this thing up. And as you can see, that's what I just got home with. It's like a 2004 Yamaha Vino scooter. Now, never owned a Vino, but I've had Zumas in the past. I've had Sprees, I've had Razzes, I've had Honda Elites, Metropolitans. I've pretty much had every kind of scooter you can literally think of, but never owned a Vino, so I'm kind of excited about this one. But like I said, I don't know anything about this one. The guy I bought it from said it had been sitting for 5 to 6 years, so, you know, I'm just gonna keep my fingers crossed and hope that he was telling the truth and that it runs. He said it used to run and ride, but it had been sitting for about 5 or 6 years, so he doesn't know if it still runs anymore. He says it might need some carb work, but that's like the old marketplace adage, everything just needs carb work. So anyway, hopefully the guy was telling the truth and we'll be able to just peel this thing off, drain the old gas out of it, put some fresh gas in it, and with a little bit of luck, this thing will just fire up and run for us. So anyway, it's a fairly low mileage machine, and other than a couple little small cosmetic blemishes and stuff like that and one missing panel, it's actually a pretty cool looking little scooter. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing unloaded. We go ahead and start checking it out, so let's do it. I guess before we get started, we can go ahead and check this thing out now. As you can see, it's a pretty cool looking scooter. You know, it's got this nice wide, almost like a horse saddle kind of design. Cool vintage look to it. Handlebars got a little bit of surface rust and stuff on it. Other than, you know, the little bit of dirt and grime on it, it appears to be pretty much all complete. No major road rash or anything like that. A couple little small blemishes right here, but nothing I'm too concerned about. And one of the things I noticed, that the fender had a crack right here. I don't know what that's all about, but that could honestly be trimmed and reshaped and you'd never even notice it. But other than that, it's a cool looking scooter. Definitely has a cool vintage look to it. This thing's actually pretty sweet looking. And another bonus with it, which I've never got this before, the guy gave me literally all of the legal paperwork for it. Title, bill of sale, everything. Even the original purchase receipt. So, you know, kind of lucked out in that regard. Got an extra mirror, which appears to be broken. Oh well, that can be fixed. There's that piece of the fender that's missing. But yeah, other than that, cool little scoot. So let's go ahead and pull this thing off and, you know, start checking it out. All right, so now that we got it unloaded, go ahead and wheel this thing in the garage and get going on it. All right, so now that we got it in the garage, we can go ahead and start, you know, plugging away at it and see what we can figure out with it. So, like I said, it, you know, fairly low mileage machine. It's only got 2,500 miles on it. So what I'm thinking I'm going to start by doing is I'm going to go ahead and just start by seeing if there's any gas in this thing, which... So I see a little bit of gas in there, and oh my God, the gas that I'm smelling in there just smells terrible. So I honestly think before I even start doing anything else with this bike, I'm gonna go ahead and start by draining all that funky old gas out of this thing, because the guy had told me this thing has been sitting for 5 or 6 years unridden. So it's a safe bet to say that the gas in this thing is no longer any good. So alright guys, so first things first, I'm going to go ahead and start by siphoning all this old funky smelling gas out of this thing. This thing's been sitting for about 5 or 6 years, so this gasoline is definitely no longer any good. So I'm going to go ahead and use this siphoning device that I made a long time ago. And basically all it is, it's a length of like 3/16 brake line connected to a piece of like 1/4 inch clear tubing. And what the brake line allows it to do is just kind of get all the way to the very bottom of the tank, and then I can siphon the hose out and catch all the old gas in one of these empty gas cans here. So let's start by getting all this funky old gas out of this thing, and we'll go from there. Alright, just go ahead and take your siphoning tube and just kind of set it down in there. And the whole idea with siphoning the gas is you want to have the catch container lower than the actual, you know, container that you're trying to drain. That way you got gravity working with you and not against you. So, and using the clear tubing, you'll be able to see the gasoline coming up and through the hose, so you don't have to worry about getting it all in your mouth. So. And just like that, it's draining. I don't know how much gas was in this thing, but there didn't appear to be too much. But either way, you know, it doesn't look good, it doesn't smell good, so it's just best to get it out of there. Hey guys, so as you can see, we are draining, but I don't know how much gas is in it, so this might take a little bit, but there didn't appear to be much in there, so yeah, it's already looking like it's pretty much almost empty. So I'm just going to continue to let it drain and just do its thing. So. And there it is, you guys. Tank is pretty much emptied out. So we can go ahead and put some fresh gas in this thing. We go ahead and see if it does anything. So let's do it. All right, guys, so I just got back from the gas station. I went up there and I got a couple of gallons of fresh recreational fuel. Now, if you guys don't know what recreational fuel is, it's basically gasoline that does not have any ethanol in it. And the reason I run recreational fuel in pretty much all of my small engines, scooters, motorcycles, weed whackers, freaking backpack blowers, any kind of small engines and stuff that I don't use like daily, I always typically use recreational fuel in it, just because it's not typically the gasoline itself that goes bad. It's the ethanol that they add to the gas that goes bad. And that is what causes, you know, the gasoline to gunk up and start to basically turn into like a gel-like substance. But when you buy recreational fuel, it doesn't have any ethanol in it. You don't really have to worry about any of that. It lasts way longer. And not only does it last way longer, these small appliances like chainsaws, weed whackers, and leaf blowers, and, you know, even scooters and motorcycles for that matter, they just seem to all run better using this recreational fuel. And just as another kind of a added bonus, I'm going to go ahead and throw a couple of ounces of sea foam in there. Now, I've been using this stuff for decades. And basically all it is, it's like a fuel stabilizer, and it also helps clean out like injectors and stuff like that. But all you need is, basically calls for 1 ounce of sea foam per gallon of gas. So go ahead and put 2 ounces of sea foam in here because we got 2 gallons of gas. Go ahead and take our 2 ounces of sea foam and dump it straight into our rec fuel. And what that's going to do is just kind of stabilize this fuel and just kind of, you know, give it a little added bonus. Maybe help clean out some of the old funk and gunk that was left behind by that old gas. So I'm going to go ahead and throw some of this fresh gas in it, and we'll go from there. Alright guys, so we just added a couple of fresh gallons of rec fuel and some sea foam to it. Now before I even go ahead and try to start this thing up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just give it a good, thorough look over and inspection. Make sure everything is the way it needs to be. Make sure there's no loose bolts or anything broken. Make sure there's no wires disconnected or anything like that, because like I said, I don't know anything about this thing. I literally just picked it up maybe 45 minutes, an hour ago. And like I said, it's been sitting for 5 or 6 years. And typically when things sit for a while, they typically tend to accumulate, you know, critters, you know, mice and stuff like that. So I'm going to go ahead and pop the air filter out, check that, and just kind of, like I said, just give it a good look over, make sure everything's on the up and up with it before I go ahead and try to start that thing, because I don't want to, you know, risk causing any potential further damage if there is any. So let's just go ahead and give this thing a quick look over, and then we'll go from there. All right, I'm going to start by zipping this little side cover off. Now, something tells me this thing's definitely been apart before, just because of the amount of missing fasteners and screws I see on this thing. But like I said, it's always good to just give it a good look over and make sure everything's okay with it. I'll pop this floorboard off too, why not? Go ahead and pop this side off real quick. And like I said, this thing's missing all kinds of like screws, and it was missing these two, so yeah, who knows, you know. This thing may run, it may not. But it is a Yamaha. See zip ties and stuff everywhere. This thing's definitely been apart. Try to pop this whole thing out of there. Is what I'm doing really necessary? Probably not, but you know what? It's always better to be safe than sorry when messing with an unfamiliar piece of equipment, especially something that you just bought, you know? All right, so now that we got this thing pretty much stripped all down, we can go ahead and just give it a real good look over. Carburetor's pretty funky down there, as you can see. Almost looks like it has a bit of a leak to it. Well, there's no dripping on the floor or anything, so that's a good sign. Go ahead and pop this air cleaner out of there and inspect that while we're in here. And like I said, we're just kind of looking for, you know, evidence of like chewed wires, critter nests, anything like that, or just anything that's out of the ordinary that you would not expect to find on your little scooter. That's where the ignition coil is mounted, right there on the under the floorboard. Kind of interesting. It looks like that exhaust pipe may have been welded on before. Just looking at that goobery weld right there. Yeah, man, everything appears to be a-okay with it. Like I said, these things are pretty simple when it comes down to it. There's not a whole lot to them. It was probably just a big waste of time stripping it down, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it wasn't, because now we are 100% certain that everything is okay with it. Ooh, except for that. See? Look at that. That's definitely an issue, so I'm going to have to hunt around and find a nut for that bolt. Like I said, I almost totally overlooked that. You know, it seems like it has good compression, and the Kickstarter does work, so that's definitely a positive sign. I don't know if you guys remember the last Zuma that I brought home, but that thing was all sorts of messed up. But like I said, I think the guy was kind of telling the truth about this one. It had just been sitting for a good long while. So all right, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pull this air cleaner off and see what's lurking behind there. Okay, so it does have an air cleaner. However, it is pretty much disintegrating. This air filter pretty much fell apart in my hand, so I have to get one of those. All right, so at this point in the game, we gave it a pretty good look over. We got all the old funky gas drained out of it and put some fresh new gas in it. Everything appears to be on the up and up with it. I went ahead and made an air filter for it out of just some half-inch like foam that I had laying around, so it's got an air filter in it now. So anyway, before I go any further, I think it would be a good idea to just kind of go ahead, kick it over a few times and see if it sputters or does anything. And who knows, if it starts, awesome. If it doesn't, at least we'll have it broken down enough to where we'll be able to, you know, easily access the carburetor and stuff like that. So anyway, yeah, let's see if this thing will run. Key on. Wow! It's running! It's running! Running. It's actually idling and running pretty good, actually. Definitely getting oil. Idle seems a little high, but dude, it's running. Taillight works. Headlight works. Turn signal seems like it wants to work, but yeah, I think it needs a battery for all the turn signals and stuff to work, but this thing's actually purring really good. Oh, I'm so glad. Oh man, I'm so glad this thing just fired right up, because I really was not looking forward to like removing the whole carburetor and going all down that route. But like I said, this thing is a Yamaha and it's only got 2,500 miles on it. So the only reason this thing wouldn't run is if somebody literally ran it without oil in it. So it runs, you guys. So I think I'm gonna go ahead. Yeah, let's go ahead and start piecing this thing back together. Now I gotta remember how to put this thing back together. That might be tricky. Let's get this floorboard put back in here. There it is. It's also got this neat little plastic cover to, cover up the oil injection reservoir. Just got like a little quarter turn fastener, I guess. All right, it's all back together. So at this point, we got it all back together, and we know it runs. We just got to kind of find out if it actually rides first. Before you take any kind of motorcycle or scooter for a ride, it's always good to check the tires. Tires seem fine. Let's go ahead and get this thing running. It runs. Let's take it for a ride. So that one's the front brake, this one's the rear. So got it. Right out of the driveway. That's pretty good. So we got 30 so far. Honestly, this thing rides really nice. Yeah, definitely not as much pickup as my old Zumas used to have. So far I got about 30 out of it, which I was hoping for a little more, but I'm just actually glad this thing's running for us. Got about 35 out of it. Wow, you guys, I'm actually pretty impressed. Considering we really didn't have to do too much to it. All we did was more or less just drain all the old crappy gas out of it, put some fresh gas in it, and replace the air filter. I think what I'm going to do now, since we know that it runs good and it rides good, I think I'm going to go ahead and just give this thing a quick scrub down and try to see if I can make this thing look a little more clean and presentable. So yeah, I'm gonna do that. Hey guys, so I got this thing all cleaned up, and this thing literally looks like a brand new scooter, minus the little crack on the fender there and a little couple of scratches here and there and the missing panel. This thing looks pretty much immaculate. Yeah, this thing cleaned up really nice. Anyway, I'm just thrilled with the way this thing turned out. Like I said, I haven't even told you guys what I paid for this thing yet. Anyway, got it all cleaned up, looking spiffy. So I'm gonna go ahead and take it in the garage. All right, you guys, so in a further attempt to improve the performance of this thing, what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna try to pull that muffler off and try to decarbonize it. Now, we're only getting about 35 miles an hour, and it's kind of struggling to get up there. So I'm kind of thinking that maybe that muffler just could be all carbon plugged up. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull it off real quick, and I'm gonna burn it out and see if we get any improvement out of it. So. Alright guys, so I got the muffler off and I pretty much just burned all the carbon and stuff out of both ends. And one thing I noticed, like as I was doing this, can you guys see that teeny tiny restrictor washer that they weld into this pipe? Yeah, that is definitely not helping our cause. Like literally that hole is maybe 3/8 diameter, and the hole on the exhaust is probably, I don't know, 1/2 inch, 9/16. So we are being heavily restricted just by that alone. So I think what I'll do, like I said, I think I'm gonna just try to knock this piece out, or if not, maybe I can grind these little tack welds that I believe are holding it in and maybe just remove it completely. But if not, worst come to worst, drill it out, and that should definitely help this thing breathe a lot more, because like I said, this thing only does about 30-35 miles an hour, and it kind of has to work to get up there. So I'm hoping that by de-restricting this exhaust a little bit, because that's kind of what it was feeling like as I was riding it. It felt like the muffler was just really carbon and plugged up. So, but after discovering that, you know, that kind of tells a whole different story. So I think I'm going to go ahead and try to knock that piece out, then we'll put this thing back on, and then we'll see how fast we go from there. All right, so at this point, I got those 3 little tack welds pretty much ground out. I'm gonna go ahead and try to plop this thing out of here. So I'm just wiggling it back and forth. Just gotta wiggle it just a little bit. It's a great song, by the way. I think that was Pink Floyd, I think. Not 100% certain. All right, and that is what we came for, you guys. Like I said, look at how tiny that hole is. So now this thing should breathe. And the reason I removed it this way versus just drilling the hole out is, let's say the thing runs like absolute garbage now. At least I know why, and I'll be able to simply reinsert it, throw a couple tack welds in it, and it'll be just like it was. So let's put this thing back on and take it for a ride. All right, so at this point, I've got the de-restricted muffler back on the scooter. Let's go ahead and fire this thing up and see if we made a difference. Oh, wow. Dude, that is way peppier than it used to be. I've got to take this thing for a ride. Oh man, I can already tell this thing's way zippier right out of the gate already. So we're about to pull out of the driveway. Last time we were able to get up to 25. Wow, we're already at 30. Oh, about to pass it. All right, this thing's already way faster. Let's go for the sub. Oh man, this thing's pulling. No way! 40. That's awesome. That is freaking amazing. What's up, little man? Yeah, this thing is ripping now. Oh my god, so much more throttle response and just acceleration. This thing's right on par with my Zumas that I used to have. If anything, this one's probably quicker now because the Zuma had a lot more weight on this thing. Alright, we're on the main road now. Let's see if we can keep up with traffic. Ripping, dude. Yeah, the problem I'm having is my throttle hand is my only free hand at this moment because I'm holding this camera, so I'm only able to actuate the front brake, which when doing 35, 40 mile an hour can be kind of sketch. Alright, let's take this thing back. Yeah, this thing's got so much more pull now. Look at that, we're already at 35. I can't believe it, you guys. It's like I just doubled the horsepower of this thing by removing that stupid muffler plug. So, oh my god. If you have one of these scooters and it is just kind of a dog, pull your muffler off real quick and see if it has that restrictor washer in it, because that alone made a world of difference. Alright, you guys, so we got this thing all cleaned up. We got that muffler de-restricted, and I gotta tell you, man, this thing here just might be a keeper. I just might have to hold on to this one. I was considering selling it because it was kind of like a dog at first. When the top speed was only 35 miles an hour and it had to really work to get there, I was kind of concerned because, you know, this thing actually had to work to get its way up some hills. But now without that stupid washer in the muffler, this thing actually rips, you guys. So I may actually hold on to this one because it is a good looking scooter. And like I said, I have like barely any money into this thing. I have $300 into this thing at this point. So with all that being said, this thing cleaned up amazing, and for what I got into it, you can't beat it. So this thing is a good looking scooter all the way around. Classic vintage look and Yamaha reliability. And like I said, now that we de-restricted it a little bit, this thing rips. So let me know what you guys think. Is there anything else that I should do to this thing, or should I sell it, or should I keep it? I really don't know what I want to do with it. You know, it's not going to hurt me to hold on to it, that's for sure. This thing will only save me money in the long run for zipping around town and stuff. That's a cool thing I like about these Yamaha scooters. Like, people always say, oh, get a Ruckus, da-da-da-da-da. Ruckus has, like, no storage. This thing actually has, like, tons of storage under the seat. And it's very comfortable to ride. Same with the Zumas. But this thing, as far as, like, leg room and saddle comfort, this thing is way more comfortable than the Zuma was. But the Zuma was a little more rugged, and you know, you could two-track with the Zuma. This thing's more of like a street scooter. I mean, if you took this thing two-tracking, you would probably end up, you know, breaking something on it. So Zuma for 2-tracking, rugged durability. This one for just zipping around town. And yeah, great little scoots, man. Especially when they're de-restricted like that, so. Anyway, you guys, I think that's going to do it for this one. If you guys actually watch this video from beginning to end, I just want to say thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. If you guys haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel. It really helps out. Also, hit that like button if you feel like it. That doesn't hurt either. If you got any questions or comments about this thing, feel free to shoot them in the comment section. I'll be sure to answer them the best I can. But anyway, you guys, until the next one, this is Sitting Low signing out. I'll see you in the next one.